Okay. Does everyone sees the text? Yeah, I think so. Page you are learning. You mean in the afternoon? You talk about the afternoon. Good. Okay. Good. Yeah. Here, let's put the analysis. Okay. Okay. There we go. We're recording now. Yes, we're recording. Good. All right, this week's Torah portion is talking about Yaakov meeting up with his brother Eisov. If you remember, 2 weeks ago, we left Eisov as he was burning with anger and desiring to kill his brother Yaakov, because Yaakov stole the blessings from him. So he thinks, anyway, from his father Yitzchak. So Yitzchak wanted to bless Eisov, and Yaakov stole away the blessings from Eisov. So Eisov wanted to kill him. So after that, Yaakov, then it takes a little break. Yaakov goes to the house of Lavan, and in the house of Lavan, he stands up the Jewish family, the Jewish nation. 12 tribes. His 12 sons each one becomes a whole tribe. That's the 12 tribes. And now here he is finally he's meeting up with Eisov. He finds that Eisov, his brother, is finally caught up to him. Now Eisov isn't looking around for him already, for this is like 34 years, right? Yaakov worked for Lavan for 20 years, and before that he was 14 years. It said he hid himself in a place of learning. He learned Torah. So he's been looking for him for all this time, and he hasn't forgotten. And now Eisov is coming to meet him. Yaakov sends messengers to Eisov, and they come back and they say he's coming with you with 400 men. 400 men, and he's going to destroy you. He's really burning anger. So it comes out okay. Finally, it comes out that Yaakov meets up with Eisov, and everything comes out all right. Right beforehand, it says he fights with his angel, and then afterwards he meets up with and the angel is the power of Eisov, is the angel of Eisov, and he defeats the angel, and then afterwards Eisov sort of makes peace with him, temporarily anyway. And this represents something very deep. Now you have to remember, this is all written in the Bible. And the one writing the Bible, the author of the Bible, is God. And God is creating you, and he's creating me. He's creating us right now. That's not that he created man a long time ago, 5,000 years ago, 5 billion years ago, or he didn't create anybody at all. Everything just popped up from spontaneous generation or some sort of evolution or something like that. Whatever you want to think how it is, it's not so. The fact of the matter is that God is creating us right now. That's the message of the Jewish people to the world. That's the message of Chabad to all the Jewish people, and that's the message of the Jewish people to the world. God is creating us, every single one of us, Jew, non-Jew, all the animals, all the plants, all the rocks, all the angels. God is creating everything constantly. He's creating time. Time itself is a creation. And that's step number one. Step number two, he's creating everything for a reason. And the reason is that we should reveal him in the world. But God also made a world. And the world is lacking revelation. It's lacking godliness. It's lacking godliness. To the degree that some people, there's big religions, they just want to get out of the world. You know, the whole religion is just going to heaven. You know, how are you going to get saved? How are you going to go to heaven? Which that's a big lie, because the main thing is this physical world to make it holy. So here we go. That's Yaakov. Yaakov is the holiness. Eisov is the world, and they're brothers. Yaakov's job is to make Jacob. His job is to make his brother holy. to reveal his true source. The fact of the matter is this world contains tremendous, tremendous storehouse, treasures of holiness and meaning and joy and life. That's what this world contains, every detail of the world. We don't see it because we Jews are not doing our job the way we're supposed to do. Who's going to make the Jews do the job the way they're supposed to be? That's Moshiach. Moshiach is going to bring all of the Jews to do the Torah, all the Jews to do all the commandments, all the Jews to reject all these other weird religions and philosophies, and just incredible. The enemies that have been to Judaism from outside and from inside, I think the enemies from inside were even more insidious and damaging. The enemies that have been through all the generations are just incredible. I don't know how it's possible that Judaism could stand. I mean, there's never been such a movement with so many enemies. Just really incredible. Really, it's quite incredible. And all of these enemies come from Eisov. The Christian church and Islam and the Spinoza and all this Zionism and all these others that are just trying to stop Jews from doing the commandments. All these movements, that's Eisov. And that's natural work. You can't blame them. You know, I mean, here the Jews are claiming God spoke to them, he took them out of Egypt. Come on, do you really believe that? Yeah, I believe it. But it's pretty hard to believe. Pretty hard to believe. On the other hand, it's true. And the force that is making us not believe it, that's Eisov. Eisov. And who is Eisov? None other than Jacob's brother, his own flesh and blood, two brothers. So now this Torah portion is the most important one in the whole Torah. Every Torah portion is the most important one in the whole Torah. When we get next week, that's going to be the most important one in the Torah. Because every Torah portion is building on the previous ones. So the previous ones were holy, the most holy. Now we come to next week, that's even more holy. All right, here we go. Ready? So here we have the monumental battle between meaning and meaninglessness, between life and the opposite of life, between selfishness and godliness, egotism and Judaism. That's the war. Here we go. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. Now this whole business happened like 4,000 years ago. A little bit less than 4,000 years ago. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. Jacob sent angels. If this would have worked, it would have saved a lot of trouble for a lot of people. But we'll see, it doesn't work. We'll see. Vayishlach Yaakov. Right, 2 weeks ago, Yitzchak, he tried to fix up Eisov. Yitzchak, Esau's brother, he tried to fix him up. Quick fix. He tried to give him a big blessing. And if he would have done it, if he would have tried, it would have been a catastrophe, worse than it is now. So here we go. Yaakov, Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim Lefanav El Esav Achiv. Yaakov sent angels before him. Malachim also means messengers. Rashi says they were really angels. The word malach also means a messenger. He sent messengers, angels before him to Eisov, his brother. He found out that Eisov was coming. Hine, you do what's known. The Yaakov is not. Don't judge a book by the cover. Yaakov is not what you think. Yaakov is written in the Torah. The Torah is written by God. God is creating me and you. It's pretty important. So God writes a book. Take notice. Every detail of this book is important. Who is Jacob? Jacob is the final completion of the founding of the Jewish people. Yaakov, the source of the Jewish people. Now, like I say, the purpose of the Jewish people is to fix the world. There's these groups that say Tikkun Olam, but you can't fix the world without the Torah. You have to have an instruction manual. Yaakov, Shorshahu B'chinas Shem Ma. Yaakov, its source is from the name Ma. Now we talked about this before. This name of Ma. Ma is another way of saying 45. Mem is 40, Hey is 5. This is one of the numerical values of God's name. Excuse me. This is one of the numerical values of God's name. We said this before. If you take God's name, which is Yud and then Hey, then Vav and then Hey, and add it up, each one of the Hebrew letters has a numerical value. Yud is 10, Hey is 5, Vav is 6, Hey is 5. So that comes out to 26. And if you fill up the letters phonetically, like Yud, instead of Yud, say it Yud. Yud Vav Dalet is Yud, Yud. So that's Yud, and then Vav and then Dalet. Vav is 6 and Dalet is 4. So if you take Yud together, so that makes Yud alone is 10, and if you fill it up with another 10, Vav and Dalet is 10, so that's 20. So this depends how you fill up the letters. Then you come up with different numerical values of this. And these, you have to remember, these names of God, these are the creative forces that create the whole universe, the whole entire universe. If somebody comes and asks you, what do you think is more valuable? A $20 million gift certificate, you can buy anything you want to, or one of the letters of the name of God. So you say, there's no question, what the letter of the name of God, that creates all of the money, creates all the worlds. Creates the whole universe, all the money and everything. But that's the fact of the matter. That's the fact. But I mean, I don't exactly know what it means to get one of the letters of God. $30 million would be very nice. And then I'll talk about keep giving classes. God will give me, maybe if he wants to, the letters. But the fact of the matter is nobody's offering me either one of them. And here we have a chance to attain the letters of God, the name of God. The name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, if you fill it up with the phonetically, it comes out, one of the ways it comes out is the name Ma. Ma is an aspect of God available to everybody. That was Jacob, every Jew. This is the aspect of Jacob, which is the ability to fix up the world. Olam HaTikun. This is what's called the world of Tikkun. The aspect of God which makes it possible to fix up the world. Fix up the world. How do you fix up the world? Very simple. Let's say a person's sick, right? So he's sick. So he goes and he sees his next door neighbor. So his next door neighbor says, what's wrong? I got a stomachache, terrible stomach. He says, no problem. Let's get a knife here, cut it open. He cuts off the guy's stomach. Whoa, look at all this blood over there. What is all this stuff? What's all this stuff in your stomach? I didn't know. Was there? The guy he doesn't know. He doesn't know what's the inner workings of the person. He thinks that there's a person and that maybe he has a little bolt is loose or something. He doesn't know. You want to do tikkun, you have to do tikkun according to the manufacturer's instructions, right? You don't take your car doesn't work. You don't take it to a gardener or to an eye doctor, right? You take it to an auto mechanic. Yeah, the auto mechanic knows how a car works. Well, the Rebbe knows how the world works. If the world isn't working properly, so you don't take it to some amateur, some person that just made up in his mind. The way you fix up the world is by being a nice guy. The way you fix up the world is through the Torah. It says Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they knew the whole Torah before it was given. They knew it all. And this ability which existed in the world to fix up the world, this is Ma. It's part of Chachma. Chachma means wisdom. You want to know what's right and what's wrong? One second. Hello. Cain. All right, here we go. So Yaakov, he's the father of the Jewish people, right? His name is Yisrael. Yisrael, that's the Jewish people. So it says, don't look at him just from the external. Yaakov has the power to fix up the world from God. God wants us to fix the world up. That's why he put Adam, first man, into the world. That's why he put Adam into the world. Adam, by the way, is the gematria of Ma. Adam, Aleph, Dalet, Mem is 45. Same thing. Adam was supposed to fix the world up. And we saw what happened. He didn't. He was supposed to act according to God's instructions, but he decided that to do it his own way. So he wrecked things up. 2,000 years later comes along Abraham, and Abraham begins this process. Yitzchak continues it, and Yaakov is the completion of this preparation for receiving the Torah. That's Yaakov. So Yaakov is the name Ma. Now Yaakov figures that maybe he can fix this whole thing up. The Jews won't have to go into Egypt. He'll stand up the Jewish people. They'll receive the Torah, and that's it. God already promised them the land of Israel, and the world will be healthy. It'll be normal the way it is. There won't be any addictions and murder and deception and lies and confusion. There won't be any of these things. So Yaakov thought he could fix up the world, and that's what's happening in this week's Torah portion. He's meeting up with Eisov. Okay, so Yaakov is the aspect of Ma. The Shorsho, and the source of Eisov, his brother, comes from what's called the world of Tohu. We already talked about this. The Orut Tohu, the lights of Tohu, are very, very great. Eisov has tremendous potential, tremendous genius. But it cannot be in any sort of vessels. It had to be in a way. So Eisov makes confusion. People like confusion, because the thing about confusion is that everybody feels that they're God. People like that feeling. I'll do it your own way. Everybody makes up their own thing. Egotism, that's the thing of Eisov. Pure, unadulterated egotism. As is understood, sometimes people realize that, listen, maybe I can get I can increase my egotism. I can benefit myself more by joining other people, making religions. Wait, what's going to be with me in the world to come? So make up all sorts of religions and ideas, but the main thing is egotism. Egotism is everything is for me. That's Eisov. Very popular. Very, how do you say, tempting. Very tempting. Very appealing. Oh. That's the idea of Eisov. Eisov had high lights of godliness. These lights of godliness, they went away from the vessels. This becomes what's called surrounding level. And the vessels broke and they fell down below. And therefore, Eisov Shalamata Russia. Therefore, Eisov below, he was evil. What's the basic principle of Judaism is essentially the evil itself doesn't really exist. Evil itself, there is no real true existence for evil. Evil can only exist when there's an absence of the revelation of God. God is one. That's the message of Judaism. God is one. There's nothing except for God. But if a person doesn't feel this fact, then that's where evil steps in. Right? As soon as a person doesn't feel the oneness of God, what does it mean, oneness of God? That God is creating me. As soon as you feel that God is creating you, or I feel God is creating me, then that automatically, dispels 90% of my false egotism. The more revelation of God that there is, the less egotism there can be. Just like the more education there is, the less ignorance there is. Same thing. Aval mitzad shorsho, from its source, keeping the tohu, haria oros, the tohu, the lights of tohu, they are above this level of tikkun. So this thing of confusion and death and murder and everything has a very tremendously high source. The ability to hide God, the fact that a person can be destructive, this comes from a tremendously, tremendously high source. And when godliness is revealed, then this energy is devoted to good. Maybe it's something like this. I don't know if you can take the example, but let's take the example. There were these, in Nazi Germany, there were these fantastic scientists, physicists and scientists. And there was a big race after the World War II was over to get these scientists, right? America wanted them, Russia wanted them. Let's just say, for the purpose of this argument, I'm not trying to take any sides, But America, they were like the paradigm of good, right? They were good and they were freedom and they were this. That's questionable, but let's just say for the sake of the argument. But their idea was, for sure, these scientists, as they were in Germany, were pure destruction. This pure destruction. They could sit down and figure out how to make the best rockets and put the most warheads on top to kill the most innocent people. That was the big thing. Killing innocent people. That was the biggest mitzvah you could possibly have in Germany. Killing innocent people. That was the best thing. To make rockets, to make bombs, to make planes, to make this. New ways of killing, better tanks, but to kill innocent people. So all the time these scientists were in Germany, the Nazis, their power was for bad. And they were tremendously good at it. They were awesome. Right? They were awesome. They had these amazing inventions, jet planes and things like that nobody even thought of. And they were working on all sorts of other secret projects and things like that. Anyway, as soon as it fell down and these scientists came over, now their wisdom could be used for good things. I don't know if they were used for good things, but in fact, sending rockets to the moon, which is, of course, tremendously important. I don't know why, but sending people to the moon is and other projects, similar projects to better mankind. So in other words, what are we saying? The power to do evil is a tremendous power which can be used for good. Look at the atom bomb. You can use this atomic power either for destruction, incredible destruction, or you can use this atom bomb for the power of atomic power to provide for cities and light. So that's the idea in general in the world. Yaakov is here to take the selfishness, the false egotism, the destructiveness of this world, the morallessness, there's such a word, the amoral ideas of this world, and to transform them to godliness. Transform them to godliness. I can't hold myself back here. A couple of days ago, somebody came to my house. He wants to get a degree in a master's in philosophy. And in order to do that, so he has to know this high English. So fact of the matter is I learned philosophy. I mean, I'm very basic, but I got a bachelor's degree in philosophy. And I know English. So anyway, so he brought me one of these treatises that's about Spinoza. Spinoza, what is this? I mean, I never really got into it, but it's Spinoza and how people interpreted this, one little sentence. I'm sorry to say it, but I mean, pure evil like that, I've never really seen. Pure, unadulterated evil. There is no Torah, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no right, there's no wrong. Everybody is God. Everybody figures it out on their own. You have to be brave. You have to break through. He was a big influence on Nietzsche, and Nietzsche was a big influence on Hitler, and the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. There's no fixing, there's no right, there's no good, there's no bad. God doesn't care, there's no meaning. And then you make it up. I mean, of course, he says these lies in thousands of words, just pages and pages and pages of words to say these lies. But still, that's the war. That's the war. That's the war between Eisov and Yaakov. There it is. Spinoza and these people, especially him, that is the quintessence of Eisov. You just do what you want. Everyone decides on their own. What the ultimate pleasure. Anyway, not to get into it too much, but I was just very, very shocked by the godlessness and the destructive power that there is concealed in this. Of course, he said that it was, the ultimate peace and other. Commotion is like we said before, and Parshas told us. Behine, Yaakov, he thought that Eisov had already been refined. Yaakov thought that Eisov had already been refined. Chazar, and he thought that he came back to his source. He thought that Eisov came to his senses, and he realized that there's God, and he realized that God has. He realized that there's God, and he realized that God has a design for the world, and there is such a thing as good and bad. And he figured that Yaakov went back to his source, Hanala's tremendously high source, the source of selfishness, the source of confusion. that he went to the source and now he was fixing it up. This level of tohu, which is before tikkun. Lokach, therefore, shalach Yaakov, therefore Yaakov sent angels, messengers, in front of him. What does it mean in front of him? In front of him means above him. Hainu el bechina shalamayla mimenu, a level which is above Yaakov himself. El Eisov achiv, to Eisov his brother. Seir, to this place of Seir. This is what's called the Malachim Kodmim. These are what's called the primordial kings of Tohu, of the world of Tohu, of the world of confusion. It says in the beginning, when God created the world, there was Tohu Vavohu. There was confusion. And there was pure light. Right? It's like going to the Jewish people when they're in the middle of worshiping the golden calf and saying, hey guys, you shouldn't do it. It says in the Torah, you shouldn't worship other idols. It's not going to work. When they were worshiping the golden calf, they were like into the world of Tohu. They were into pure selfishness and they were enjoying themselves with no end. It says they were making a big party, the Shimtza B'Kamayim. They were making a tremendous party and rejoicing and doing anything that they wanted to. You can't go to a person like that and say, hey guys, let's, time to be normal, time to put on tefillin, let's pray to the Lord. What are you talking about? I'm having a great time in my life. I never enjoyed myself so much. Now you're coming and telling me that's Eisov and Yaakov. Eisov is you do what you want. Everyone is boss. And Yaakov is saying, listen, there's God, he's the boss. You can't do what you want. There's things you must do that God says, and there's things that you must avoid because God says also. That's called tikkun. Today, Yaakov thought that Eisov came to his senses and he realized that there is such a thing as a creator and that the creator has a will. So Yaakov, and therefore he sent these messengers, these angels, to Eisov, which is a higher level than Yaakov, in order to draw down this Makifim the Torah, this level that Eisov represents, this what's called the surrounding level of Torah to him. Lamata, Batikun. He thought that Yaakov would be able to unify now with his brother, and then they could use the power of Eisov and the plan which Yaakov had. They could make it that would fix the whole world. What's called Yaakov is this level of Or Panimi, inner lights. That this surrounding level, this upper power of Eisov will shine in an inner way, and they'll be joined together. That's what's called happiness. Happiness. You'll do the Torah and you'll feel that I am doing the Torah. You'll feel the egotism, the good egotism, why God created egotism. Egotism is not a bad thing. It can't, without proper direction, it's terrible. Without proper direction, it's the mad scientist. But with the proper direction, that's happiness. Happiness is when I feel with my own unique free will, my own, how do you say, the self. I decide to serve Hashem. I decide to be self-sacrificing for the commandments for God, not because in order to go to heaven or anything like that. That's already Eisov. Therefore, therefore, he said to his angels, he said that he sent, this is what you should say to my master Eisov. Im Lavan Garti, I lived with Lavan, and I had oxes and donkeys. What is he saying to Eisov? Go to Eisov, tell him I have donkeys, oxes, and donkeys, and sheep, and maidservants and manservants. He wanted Eisov to know, said Yaakov said, I've done everything I was supposed to do. I learned Torah. I went to Eisov, I went to Lavan. I have a full family. I got the properties of Lavan, right? I fixed the things up. I fixed up what I can fix up. All the levels of what's called this world of Atzilut. Atzilut is another name for holiness. This level of ox, donkey, sheep, manservants, maidservants. Kulam nisbaru. I fixed the whole thing up, says Yaakov, by means of this name Ma that I had before. That's what it means by Li. Yaakov said, there is to me oxes and donkeys. He fixed all this up. He fixed up everything he could in the world. Calls a bomb, Nipenei, Shim Love and Garti. Why was it that Yaakov was able to tell Eisov, I'm ready to meet you. I know that you're more powerful than me, but I've realized you must fix yourself up. And here I'm ready. We can work together. I have the vessels. You've got the lights. Let's work together. How is it that Yaakov said that he has already finished working, Perush, Bechinas Lovan Elyon? This is what's called the upper whiteness, Lovan, and was an evil person, right? But Yaakov succeeded in refining and purifying all the good which was in Lovan. Lovan was a bad person, a charlatan, a liar, a cheater. But nevertheless, Yaakov succeeded in taking specifically from Lovan these his daughters, the maidservants, the 12 tribes, all the riches that he had, right? Lavan was sufficiently rich when Yaakov left him, but nevertheless, God made a miracle and he came out with all this riches and properties because he wanted to say that Eisov, listen, I've been with Lavan. Lavan is this spiritual level of Lovana Elyon, the upper whiteness, pureness, that from there is the power, my power of Yaakov, which Yaakov is what's called the level of Atzilus, this world of Ma, fixing up, Lavarer, to refine and to fix up everything. The cave and Shekain, since it's so, that it's already finished, Bishlemus, Meata now, Roy, Beyochal, Lios, Hashor, Banshachas, Amakifim. Now, says Yaakov, I fixed up the world. Eisov, bring in the lights. Turn on lights. Let's really go. We're going to fix up this world. This surrounding lights, these tremendously high levels of godliness, of tohu, that you've been misusing. I hope that you've come to your senses and now you want to use them properly. Come with me. I'll show you how to use these your lights and your powers properly. She'im lo nigmar atikun, because if Yaakov had not finished fixing himself up, lo yochaliot amshachas amakifim, he couldn't have drawn down Eisov. Like it says in the Zohar, the late Barachetza Sharia, that a blessing does not rest, but utter rekanis in a place that's empty. So what's Yaakov saying? Yaakov is saying, I've done everything I could. I've done everything that I can with the world, natural. Now I need inspiration. I need your power. Eisov, I need your courage. Together, me and you, we can convince the whole world to do what God wants. Right? I've done my part. I'm sure you've done your part. Let's work together. Ella ba'achar, it says the God, because it says in the Zohar that God does not rest in an empty place, only in a complete place. And Yaakov said, now I'm complete and I'm an empty vessel. I'm ready for you. And Yaakov said, now that I've finished fixing up the world, now this world is ready. It's a complete place. It's a vessel that's ready for your life force and excitement. Excuse me, that you can draw down Eisov. They can draw down these upper levels. Therefore, I have sent these angels, and I'm giving you a message. I want you to know that I have completed my work. I'm sure you have also. Come, let's work together to find chen. I want to find chen. Chen means the grace in your eyes. That Eisov, you should come and add your spiritual power to me. That's what it means, chen. That it'll come down to this world of tikkun. You'll give me chen. What does it mean? Because Yaakov is saying, I have these spiritual levels which manifest themselves in physical. I have oxes and donkeys and sheep. And in other words, what? The avcha that I have transformed darkness to light. I've taken all these animals and they now belong to me. They're now in the world of tikkun. That's a complete place. That's therefore he said, therefore I have the ability now to receive your blessing of chen. Let's just do two more lines. That's what Yaakov sent to Eisov. Eisov was far away, and he hears that Eisov is coming. So he says, "V'yeshuvu malachim and Yaakov," that the angels went to Yaakov, and they said, "Banu elachicha el Eisov." The angels said, "We've done your job. You sent us to talk to Eisov. We went and we told him what you told us, And you should know he is coming to meet you. V'arba meos ishimo. There's 400 men with him. What does this mean? The angels came back. Shuvas hamalachim. The reply of the angels is kach, like this. She'im yos shemachmatcha, that from your side, ro'oi v'nachon, it is proper and prepared, ready, ma'od very much, she'yum shechalecha b'chinas ha'makif, this level of surrounding level of tohu. You thought that Eisov has been working on himself. Ma'achar sin shenimsa b'cha shlemos, because you have this level of tikkun, and now Yaakov can come. Maybe I can give you a little bit of example what this Yaakov is. I just met up with somebody. It's very common nowadays. People do tshuva. What does it mean, tshuva? Fellows, especially, they get out of the Israeli army, and they go like crazy. They get out of the army. In the army, they train them to be soldiers, good soldiers, automatic soldiers. And then they come out, and there's all these talks about, the Arabs are supposed to be our friends, and then they see these guys. The Arabs are just a bunch of murderers, and they want to destroy us totally. And they're fighting. They do a good job to protect. And then they get out, and everybody says, "No, what are you talking about? They're our friends. You're a bad guy. You fought against." So they're all confused. They don't know what to do, and they go to the nightlife. First of all, they go to Thailand, these other terrible places. And eventually, they realize, "What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm getting absolutely nothing out of this. I'm just repeating the same cheap thrills every day." And then they say, I got to get out of here. There must be some way out of this. So they take drugs and they do these things. And they realize that's even worse. Then suddenly they realize, hey, I'm a Jew. Maybe I should start acting like a Jew. What should I do? Then they decide they'll go to yeshiva. That's if they're lucky, and the missionaries and these people don't get them. They go to yeshiva, and in yeshiva they start to learn. That's the same thing. Yaakov, he's like the yeshiva. Yaakov said, I fixed myself up. Now Eisov, come and work with me. Eisov is like the soldier that he's wild and he does all these crazy, but all of a sudden he came to his senses. That's what Yaakov was hoping, that Eisov had come to his senses. And now he wants to come and learn. They're going to work together. Eisov has the power, the youth, the energy, the enthusiasm, and Yaakov has the direction, has the plan, God's wisdom, the level of ma chachma. Because that's what Yaakov said to Eisov. I finished my job. I'm ready for you to come. But what can we do? The angels came back and said, Shamaniyahu mitzad Eisov. Eisov, your brother, has not in any way, even turning in your direction. Shehu adayin lamata, he still is this level of the broken vessels, and he hasn't refined anything. If so, eich yashpia lecha, how can Eisov contribute to your efforts to fix up the world? He is part of the problem. Eisov is still part of the problem. He hasn't fixed up anything. Well, because he still is below. As we're going to talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's do the Devar Malchus of this week.